All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And hello, all, from our little universe of the Mark Thompson Show. I'm Mark. Kim is with us today, everybody.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah.
Good morning.
As is Tony, who is the guy who kind of puts together all the technical stuff. And we've got a lot today. I'll tell you, we've got a spectacular guest at 10:35 Pacific time if you're watching live. If you're watching in replay, the times mean nothing. And good for you, I say. I wish that we could all get to a place where the time would mean nothing. There is a major labor situation, I'll just say, that's developing on the West Coast. Oakland, ports of LA, Seattle, and they're literally closing these ports and not delivering goods. Another supply chain type thing that's going down. And it's all over money and a labor dispute. Well, one of the top logistics experts in the world, all about supply chain and all about the ports worldwide, he joins us bottom of this hour. Yes, don't ask me how I did it. I'm very excited and proud that he'll be joining just after Kim's news, bottom of the hour. Also, we talked about it yesterday, and it's happened. There is a publicly funded religious charter school that is going to be opening in Oklahoma. We talked about the separation of church and state. I think we got off on sort of a tangent about it yesterday. But I talked to you about the fact that your religion can be so great, so empowering, so organizing a principle for so many lives and for so many people, and yet it should be kept distinct from legislation, from education. And Kim and I were both talking about this yesterday. And then I saw that Oklahoma is approved, the nation's first public religious charter school. It was a split vote, but it's happening. So these things like, I want the 10 Commandments to be in every classroom. I want the 10 Commandments to be said before every state legislature commencement. And these are things that are scary to me because it's a little bit like a runaway train. And we'll touch on it a little bit more today. The other thing has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with the division in politics is what's happening. I think it's instructive. It's happening in Oregon. Now, Oregon is a weird state because Oregon is libs and conservatives coexisting like California. Those who live in California, same deal, right? We have these parts of California that are really red, that are really dug in. They want to secede, you know. And generally,
the state of Jefferson or something.
The state of Jefferson, right? It's generally northern parts of the state and then the Central Valley, you know. But the other parts of the state that are populous regions, Sacramento, San Francisco, Los Angeles, they're generally libs. I mean, I'm not saying, to a person, obviously, but I'm just saying they're, generally speaking, they're liberal, more liberal. So, can't we all get along? It's hard to ride herd over all of that. I always talk about California as, barely governable for just that reason. The interests are so different, Well, in Oregon, they've got that same thing with Eugene and Portland, the more liberal places, and then the rest of the rural communities. They can't get anything done. Yeah, the Republicans aren't even showing up to the legislature up there. So I'll give you a little bit more on that if I've got time, but it's, again, I find ridiculous. It instructive. Exactly.
I mean, did they run for the job? If they ran for the office, then do the job.
I'm sure they would say, and this is the thing, they would say, hey, we can't win legislatively because we're in the minority, And so what we'll do is we'll throw something into the gears to stop the Democratic legislative agenda from being passed. That's kind of what's happening in Washington to a degree in certain ways. If I can't pass legislation, I'll block legislation.
I'll just sit home so you can't do anything.
Exactly. Now they're talking about fining them. I think they make $355 a day, so they're literally talking about fining them. But those fines are minuscule. They'll be picked up by various, crowdfunding type groups.
It should be like school. If you don't have a doctor's note, then if you don't have a doctor's note, then if you miss like 10 days, that proceedings should be started to toss your rear end out of office. Done.
Yeah. It's an idea, It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
The other big news, I'll just mention this because I think it's making a lot of headlines, and I don't have any particular insight. I don't think anybody has any particular insight into it, is what's happening in Ukraine with this dam breaking in southern Ukraine. It was split in half. It's unclear who caused the damage. The Russians are saying it was a Ukrainian missile. I mean, that, really kind of strains credulity, if I could say. I mean, they bombed their own dam. Thousands being evacuated. Dangerous volumes of water are gushing out. This is a critical dam in southern Ukraine. And Ukrainian officials are evacuating people, as I say, through this Kherson region. Huge volumes of water. Floodwater is expected to continue to rise through the night and peak on Wednesday morning. The head of state-owned hydropower company, unpronounceable name, is warning that this could be a catastrophe. This whole thing came a day after American and Russian officials said that a planned Ukrainian counteroffensive appeared to have begun east of Dnipro in the Donetsk region. The Donetsk region, as you know, it's been the staging ground for so much through the years, even predating this whole Ukrainian conflict. But this flooding, they say... Sorry, go ahead, Kim. Yeah.
It makes you sound fancy when you say it. In the Donetsk region, like you're a very international...
Yeah, it does. It does sound... It does have a very Beverly Hills feel. Yeah. Yes. The Donetsk region. Yes. Feels sort of like Belvedere.
That's right.
Tiburon Belvedere. Anyway, we're watching that situation. I say we're watching it. The world is watching it. And there's one other thing related to it. And apparently it's related to the nuclear power plant. The reservoir that is created by this dam is providing water for agriculture and drinking water and that sort of thing. But it also provides water for the cooling of the reactors and the spent fuel at that nuclear power plant that has been affected in Ukraine. I think it's the biggest nuclear power plant in the world. And they say it's not an immediate risk, but that is another use of that water. So pretty wild. I mean, and as I say, the world is watching that situation. If you are watching other labor news, I mentioned that bottom of the hour we'll talk about what's happening at the ports. Port of Oakland, San Pedro, Port of Los Angeles, Port of Seattle. There's serious problems there with labor shutdowns, and now literally stuff isn't getting unloaded. And we're going to talk to our guest, bottom of the hour at 10:35. Jonathan Rosenthal is his name. But there's another labor, there are a lot of different, I talked to you yesterday about the fact that labor is having a moment in America. There's other labor stuff going on in Hollywood with that writer's strike and the Directors Guild having greenlit their new deal. They made a deal. SAG-AFTRA has now SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild and the American Federation for Television Radio Artists. I think that's what those two things stand for. They are authorizing a strike.
Uh-oh. Does that mean I can't work?
I don't think we are a union shop.
Oh.
Certainly I'm not making a union wage, I can tell you that.
Are you SAG-AFTRA?
Yeah.
I am too.
Yeah. According to the union, nearly 65,000 members, about 50% of their base, took part in the strike authorization. 97.91%, so that's 98% effectively, voted in favor of joining the Writers Guild. That's if contract talks stall. You get it, right? You okay the strike. It's a strike authorization. It's approved, meaning my rank and file has approved a strike if you guys can't come to a deal with me, the guy negotiating for SAG-AFTRA. So if we can't negotiate on streaming, on television, on residuals, if we can't make a deal on AI even, then we will join the WGA and we will strike. And my rank and file has given me, as negotiator, that strength. So it does build leverage.
So I can do the news until they tell me to stop. And then when you throw the news, I'll just say, I'm sorry, I'm on strike.
Yeah, you could strike.
Yeah.
My God.
No,
yeah.
I'm not striking, but yes.
It is a pretty big show of solidarity, though. I'm impressed.
Mark, I'm on strike.
It's always impressive until these things go on. But I mean, Kim's not wrong. I mean, it's actors, journalists, radio personalities, and more. And I'm unclear as to exactly who is affected. You know, obviously the major negotiations are with the studios. Those negotiations begin June 7th. What's today? Tomorrow. 6th. So, yeah. In a letter sent to SAG members last month, the union listed a number of demands expected to be discussed later this week, including benefit plans, member protections from, quote, erosion of income by inflation and reduced residuals. Remember we talked to Nicholas Gonzalez yesterday, the actor, producer, primetime actor in a bunch of different shows, and he was saying, yeah, the residuals, used to make for a decent living. Now you don't have residuals. There's no back end. There are no reruns. They're on stream. How do you account for it? And even those streaming numbers aren't shared with producers. Also, they'll talk about unregulated use of artificial intelligence and demands for self-taped auditions. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that was an issue. The way actors and performers audition now, they used to go to casting studios and they put you on tape. Now, tape, I mean that generically, recording you, digital tape, digital recording. They now ask you to record yourself. So if it's dialogue, you have to get somebody else to run the dialogue with you, or I'm not. It's interesting. I'm not really sure how that works.
It's less stressful, I guess.
Maybe, yeah. I'm a voiceover guy, and back in the day, you'd have to go into a casting area and you'd sit with other voiceover people, and we all got along really well. In fact, I miss that. I miss going to the agency where you'd see your agency. My agency was ICM, then DPN. ICM broke off. Anyway, you're sitting there with all of these other insanely talented people from, Futurama and Animaniacs and all these Family Guy. And, it's great. All these great, that's the animation side, and all these other commercial voices that, people, the voice of Acura, the voice of Starbucks, the voice of whatever. And it's just fun to sit there, and they're actors, generally performers and comedians. And it's like being at the best barbecue ever, but there's no food being served, but just everybody there is,
Morgan Freeman.
Right. It's got a party feel. Exactly. And I miss those days, So I know now they send you the copy, you record it, and you send it back.
Yeah.
And it's my birthday, says Gail Guthrie.
Oh, Gail,
in our
too?
chat. So I'm donating to my favorite show. Come on, Gail Guthrie.
Gail, happy birthday, June 6th.
Yeah, big shout out.
Big shout out.
I think isn't that great, Gail? $20, and thank you for that. And I'm thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Gail, how terrific. It's your birthday today too, Kim?
It is.
I didn't know that.
No.
Why didn't you tell us that?
I don't advertise it. I mean, I don't Mark, it's my birthday, so you must plan something big. I don't, it's just my birthday. And I'm old now.
I'm
so-
not saying you have to advertise it, but I'm saying that, we could have gotten you something. I mean, we could have
Rod of
done
Equity and Mercy.
well.
I
Talking about a Movado watch in Sam's.
I could have gotten you a Movado watch.
So I feel like June 6th is D-Day. It's a great birthday to have, and what a great birthday sister to have. So happy birthday,
Well,
Gail.
happy birthday indeed. Wow, Gail, that's really cool. And happy birthday, Kim. Jeez. What are you doing for your birthday, Kim?
Nothing.
Really?
Working here on the Mark Thompson show, it's like a gift. It truly is.
Well, you know what? I sense some sarcasm in that. And
I'm actually not even kidding. I love it.
You just woo.
I am. I'm always feeling as though if you have work on your birthday, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I always worked on my birthday. And I think one of the other things is that you have people and you see the love in the chat. Kim and Gail
so
both getting love in the chat.
I was unexpected and really kind and wonderful.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Look at all of that. Jeez. Well, I'm a bit taken back. I'm a bit taken aback. Do you have the Law and Disorder open and closed, Tony? Or
I'll get it.
Is that lost? You have
Thanks,
it?
Tony.
Okay, so I'm going to get to that in a second if there's time. I'm just looking right now. Carry the one. Yeah, I've got it, but stand by with it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'll remind you we are crowdfunded, which is why we make such a big deal out of people like Gail, who are regular supporters of our show. It's her birthday today, and she throws us a 20, and it seems like, it's something. Yesterday, I think I didn't mention it till the very end of the show, and I'm a bad host that way, because you do have to mention we are crowdfunded. It's the only way that we continue to have work, And I'll share some more details, actually, of where we are, because now we're about 8 months into this experiment, and I'll share more details next month as things settle out a little bit. But we literally wouldn't be here without you. So if you haven't joined our crew and you want to throw us anything for the price of a cup of coffee a week, you can be a Patreon member or a PayPal member, and you can join us just that way. It's themarkthompsonshow.com. And if you're interested in sponsoring the show, you can email us at themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. But more to the point, if you just be a regular subscriber, not subscriber, I'm just trying to change this when I'm talking. It's not the email, it's the... Kim, can you put the other birthday girl? Can you put the PayPal here? Here it is.
Yeah.
So it's themarkthompsonshow.com, and that's where you'll see this website, and you'll see a Patreon link, and you'll see a PayPal link. And again, for the price of a coffee a week, you can throw us $20 a month, and believe it or not, that helps keep us on the air. It's crazy, but we are so close to the edge, and so for that reason, I do need to mention it. And there I have themarkthompsonshow.com. Click Patreon or PayPal. And then when you get a message back from me, I have written that message to you at that moment. There's no auto return or any of that stuff. We respond to each and every Patreon and PayPal member. And Tony updates that crawl at the end of our show to recognize everybody who is a Patreon or PayPal member. So thank you again, all of you who are part of our community.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Major guest, bottom of the hour, on the shutdown of the ports in Oakland, Los Angeles, and Washington. On the West Coast, across the board, there are major work stoppages. We'll talk to Jonathan Rosenthal about that. But right now, let's do some law and disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care.
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Well, Florida officials aren't saying anything, but a migrant flight arrives in Sacramento to the quizzical looks of everyone. A second plane full of migrants from the Texas border landed in Sacramento yesterday. California officials are saying point blank that this is DeSantis and his administration pursuing this relocation program. The flights are getting national attention, but Florida officials, by and large, staying silent about any potential involvement. Ron DeSantis has been campaigning in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, as you know, for president. Newsom, and there he is, the handsome devil, is attacking DeSantis. What's that?
I call him Gov-Gav.
Yeah. Sad that he couldn't be here for your birthday, but he is out there with comments saying it is DeSantis, of course. In fact, he said, quote, Ron DeSantis, you small, pathetic man. This isn't Martha's Vineyard. Kidnapping charges, question mark? He's sort of suggesting you're kidnapping people. You're just taking them, putting them on a plane, and you're suggesting there is work for them at the end of that flight, and there isn't. With both California flights, the migrants arriving have documents with them pointing to Florida's involvement in the cross-country trips, according to state officials. They've not responded, state officials in Florida, to any of this. So, meantime, as I mentioned to you, it's quite extraordinary that a religious school would get public money. Nothing wrong with a religious school, but this religious school is getting public money. It's a charter school. And here it is, the first religious charter school in the United States. You can say you were there, everybody. Terrific. Let's get this country back to what is it? Back to which God are we? Which one?
Isn't it illegal to do that? I mean,
Well,
people should be filing suit. This is
Roman. Yeah, I'm sure suits will be filed. Roman Catholic instruction, funded by taxpayers, is certain to tee off a legal battle. There you go, Kim.
Yeah.
Separation of church and state.
Can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that genius that thought that up?
But the Oklahoma, can you, I think Kim is a little bit hot. Can you turn her down just a little bit, Tony? Because I may get 5 emails a day about the different levels in the audio, so I just try to, it's very hard for, I think, Tony or anybody else to hear a true mix of the show, so it's very subtle, but I'm trying to be more aware of it. Anyway, Oklahoma approved what would be the nation's first religious charter school just yesterday, handing a victory to Christian conservatives, but opening the door to a constitutional battle over whether taxpayer dollars can directly fund religious schools. It's to be run by the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Oklahoma City and the Diocese of Tulsa, with religious teachings embedded in the curriculum. But as a charter school, a type of school that is independently managed, of course, it would be funded by taxpayer dollars. They met for 3 hours, and despite concerns raised by legal counsel, the Oklahoma statewide virtual charter school board approved it 3-2, so it wasn't unanimous, but this board is made up of appointees from the governor, and this is a virtual school. It's an online school. And by the way, the governor in Oklahoma not only approves of, but really supports religious charter schools. He's a big holy roller, and there's nothing wrong with being a holy roller, as I've told you before. But it's a problem when it infects, in my view, publicly funded schools. Meantime, closer to home, in Law and Disorder, thieves steal $100,000 in cigarettes. Wow. It was cigarettes and cash that they took from a San Francisco smoke shop, a family-owned small business. It's called Cigarettes Are, the letter R, Cheaper, suffered its biggest hit. Surveillance video showing 2 cars parked outside. It was in the Richmond district of San Francisco in the overnight hours. One thief uses a tool to try and break the glass before others eventually push their way inside the store. Some of these burglars were already carrying empty bags. Once inside, thieves start cleaning out the shelves, dumping whatever they could into a bin, apparently. And within about 15 minutes, the crooks made off with 500 cartons of cigarettes worth $80,000. They also stole the safe containing $20,000 in cash. Wow. You can't keep cash in any business anymore.
Sayonara, sucker.
Yeah. Nobody feels safe, says the store manager, Sonny Shakur. I don't know what's going to happen next. Even daytime, they can rob me. They can do anything, he says. The family opened near the Geary Boulevard location about 30 years ago. They were also hit by burglars last year as well. He thinks crime is getting worse in the neighborhood. There he is, Sonny Shakur.
Not safety.
Yeah? You have him? No? It's not safe? But he said what I said, he said. There is the, if you're watching on YouTube, the surveillance video. Look at them go through and just clean the store out. So here he has been in business for 30 years. We come from far away to work here, to live, he said. $100,000 is not easy to cover, he said. Since the latest break-in, the family has spent thousands of dollars in window replacements and installing new gates behind the glass. I just want the government, this is the final quote, I just want the government, the city of San Francisco, to pay more attention to businesses, to the safety of people, businesses, houses all around, because we are the taxpayers, you know. Hard to argue with that. Hard to argue with that. That's Law and Disorder for today. Now would be the time to play the close for Law and Disorder.
Time for more Law and Disorder on the Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
I have another legal morsel for you, but I'll save it for hour 2. I want to get to our guest on time. Kim, birthday girl, did you have something? I'm sorry, my love. I didn't mean to in any way.
No, it's just a comment. It's kind of wrong. I know it's wrong to feel less sorry for him than people that sell other things, but all I'm thinking about is less cigarettes in the world, or less
Kim,
you sell implements of death. I guess I'm not sorry that you can't keep selling them. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, morally, I know that's still wrong, but I feel less bad for him, I think, than like a pet shop store or something else.
I'm going to politely change the subject since I disagree with Kim. Luis says, happy birthday, Kim. Mark, buy the first lady of YouTube Talk a birthday cake. Well, had we known, we would have.
So nice.
But that is so cool, Luis, with his $20 hookup to get that done. Luis, thank you. A big shout out, first of all. And Kim's birthday. Not going to cry.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
But I'm close. Close.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
Thank you, all of you who stepped up on Kim's birthday and thrown a little something into the collection plate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, means so much to me. She has. Someone was suggesting give her the rod of equity and mercy, but she's already received it.
But I haven't received it in its true physical form.
No. You're not going to get. I mean, no one gets it in its true physical form. It's
now
I
that
have
you
it.
have it in its physical
it.
form. When
It's
I
true.
got it, it was merely an idea. But now that it's,
again,
now that
Kim,
you can
I don't
fling it
think
around.
I don't think I don't think you get the fact that it's not just the physical. In fact, it has nothing to do with the physical. The physical is but a superficial manifestation of the power. It's in receiving that you are internalizing a power that you will have forever. You have to get that, Kim. I don't think you quite get it yet.
I just like that it sparkles now.
I really...
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
But happy birthday to Kim, and thank you, Wellington, as well. Wellington Smith.
Oh.
Maybe the best name.
Mm-hmm.
Wellington Smith has a rod of equity and mercy name. Mm-hmm. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Wellington Smith. Kim gets rain and my thanks on her day. Indeed. Big shout out, Wellington Smith.
Big shout out.
And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Wes also. We'll recognize more as the show goes on. Wes is terrific. I believe Wes is coming on the show. I have to follow up. It's been busy. It's been a busy few days. So I'm looking forward to having
a busy
week. Yes, thank you. Okay. Kim's news, and then we will get to our special guest, who is a logistics expert. He'll speak to the what's going on in the ports of the West Coast. So smash the like button like a boss. Mark Thompson Show.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Use Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Good morning on the Mark Thompson Show. I'm Kim McAllister. Let us start in Ukraine because the State Department says top U.S. and Chinese officials held candid and productive discussions in Beijing amid tensions between the two countries. U.S. officials met with their Chinese counterparts Monday as part of efforts to maintain open lines of communication. The visit coming months after Secretary of State Antony Blinken postponed a trip to China following the discovery of a Chinese surveillance balloon that moved over American airspace. This one kind of close to my heart, I have to say. There is a new push in Congress to keep the AM radio in newer vehicles. A House subcommittee held a hearing today on a bipartisan bill that would require car makers to keep the AM radio in new vehicles. Some manufacturers have started to phase it out in new electric vehicles. Car companies have argued that electric batteries interfere with AM transmissions. The argument is that you need AM radios because if there's an emergency, that's where people go.
So I have some inside information on this.
Oh, please.
And it's not necessarily good if you're into AM radio for the...
This is a word from the Lord, and he's not happy.
Yes, it's a word from the Lord. He is not happy. The AM radio band, there is an effort to take it over from government and the military. And so, oddly, even as the public petitions the government to maintain AM and essentially force the issue. They've done it by petitions. You've heard a lot of AM radio stations running spots, asking you to write to your congressman, text your congresspeople. The government actually is on the side of taking over that band. That's what I have heard. We'll see what happens. It may not happen for a few years, but they are competing interests. One is commercial, to maintain the robust nature of the AM band. A lot of it is sports. A lot of it is talk radio, news. And the competing interest is the government wanting to take over the AM band for other reasons. So we'll keep you posted.
So maybe we could get government jobs with big government pensions on the government AM radio. All right. I hear
Kim is always thinking ahead. I like it.
A new report says a flood at Mar-a-Lago is raising suspicions among federal investigators looking into what? Former President Donald Trump's handling of classified documents. CNN reporting a Mar-a-Lago employee flooded a room where surveillance footage was stored while draining the resort pool about 2 months after the FBI removed hundreds of classified documents from Trump's private resort.
I just want to find 11,780.
Yep, maybe he was looking for those votes.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre, so what happened? The essentially they drained the pool and the water ended up flooding the IT area of Mar-a-Lago. Okay.
Yeah, according to the report, it's unclear if prosecutors have determined whether the flooding of the server room was intentional or whether it was an accident. So
that picture you have that's not Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago underwater.
Underwater. I see. Yeah. It's clever.
Flooding,
very, very nice.
Flooded
yes,
Mar-a-Lago.
I get it. Very well done. Okay.
Thank you very much. The Republican-led House voting on legislation this week related to gas stoves. The bills would prohibit regulators from banning the stoves in the future or setting any new energy conservation and health standards for new models. House Republican Conference Chair Elise Stefanik accused the Biden administration of waging war on American energy through burdensome regulations. New York Mayor Eric Adams willing to let migrants live in his own home. A day after Adams floated the possibility of paying homeowners and landlords to shelter asylum seekers, he said he spoke to his staff to see if he could get a few families into his home at Gracie Mansion in New York City. New York City is out of shelter room, looking for other places to put migrants as the city continues to receive a high number of them daily. So in they go to Gracie Mansion. That's interesting.
Wow.
Nothing like, putting your money where your mouth is there.
Yeah, welcome to town.
Prince Harry, back in the UK, testifying in court today. He is the first senior British royal to do so in 130 years. The case over a lawsuit that he and dozens of other celebrities have brought against tabloid publisher Mirror Group newspapers for, among other things, hacking and unlawful activity to get information. And as Mark mentioned, yes, it is true. Hollywood studios could be facing both a writer's and an actor's strike if nothing is resolved in a few weeks. SAG-AFTRA says more than 97% of its members have voted in favor of authorizing a strike. The vote means the union has the power to call for a strike if no new deal is reached with major studios, streamers, and production companies by June 30th. This show is indeed crowdfunded, which means we rely on you to help us fund the show. And you can find more information about how to do just that at themarkthompsonshow.com. That's where you'll find the Patreon and the PayPal link. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
It was great. I loved it.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
Morning.
You cannot say you love your country.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Stay at home and get baked.
Well, welcome back, everyone. And into our chaos, I bring someone distinguished. He's probably already second-guessing his decision to agree to be here. But this is a guy who is the chairman and CEO of Saybrook Management. It's a private investment firm dedicated to innovative transportation and logistics solutions. Logistics is that stuff of the supply chain. When ships come to port, when they're unloaded, when they put stuff into trucks, when those trucks move that stuff to another place, that is transportation and logistics. This guy is the CEO of this firm dedicated to finding new, innovative ways to do that. He has been involved in deploying, operating, managing billions in assets across the world and 100+ platform companies. He's been called upon by our U.S. government and by governments worldwide to consult. He was appointed by the U.S. Department of Transportation Secretary to the Marine Transportation System National Advisory Committee. I'd love to talk to him about the world of government and how government works. I'm guessing it doesn't work very well. He spent a lot of time in Washington trying to advise how to get things moving and how to make things more efficient when it comes to logistics and delivery. But we may have to table that for another time because right now there's a crisis building in the way of these ports on the West Coast, which, as I've told you, have been shut down in pockets over the last few days over a labor strike. Please welcome very special guest, Jonathan Rosenthal, everyone. Jonathan, thank you, sir.
Quite the intro, Mark. Quite the intro. My God.
I skipped over a lot of stuff, honestly. I could have made it even more flowery. Yeah.
I mean, let's be serious here. Mozart was dead 30 years by the time he was my age.
Yeah, well, you may see yourself as an underachiever, but I am quite impressed. Now, can we first talk about what's happening with these West Coast ports. What is the state of the state there as you understand it?
Look, this has been going on for quite a while. This is typical labor negotiations. They come up every 3 years or 6 years, depending on the on the contract term. So this is the longshoremen, ILWU, International Longshoremen and Warehouse Workers. They are the dominant union representing dock workers along the West Coast. That's all the way from Seattle, Oakland, Port Hueneme up in Oxnard, and LA and Long Beach. My recollection is they have about 38,000 members internationally, and they're very powerful. And so this is these are labor negotiations. I think we in the industry saw this coming. You probably read about the record profits that the shipping lines made during the pandemic. Just for your listeners, we used to pay about $1,800 from Asia to the West Coast for a container. That price went up above $20,000.
Wow!
And keep in mind that the cost of shipping, the ship itself, the fuel, the people on the ship, that didn't really go up by 10 times. So there were record profits by the shipping lines. And
let me just understand this, Jonathan. That was to take advantage of, this is during the pandemic, the clear interruption in that supply chain?
Yes. So it was, the system is very, very fragile, Mark. It's very fragile. And this is something that we've been preaching now for more than a decade. And it's fragile because of the information systems. It's fragile because it's a highly complex ballet. Think about it, right? You got thousands and thousands of people that want to ship. You've got lots and lots of different, what I think of as nodes in a giant network. Those nodes are things like trucking companies, warehouses, rail, thousands and thousands of these nodes. Every one of those nodes has its own software operating system. Now, 100 years ago, that didn't happen. Today, it does. You cannot run a yard, you cannot run a terminal, you cannot run a trucking company without a software operating system. It tells you kind of what to do. How do you manage a warehouse? Our warehouses, we manage 5.5 million square feet of warehouse. We have 11 distribution centers. In any one building, we have 4 million SKUs. How the hell do you do that? I can't remember where shit is. So, you got to do what you got to do. So those are all independent operating systems. They are not.
So let me understand that you're not all operating on the same system. Is what independent operating systems means.
In fact, Mark, it's so screwed up that not only are you not operating on the same system, you're not operating with the same language. So those systems are not interoperative. So the system that runs a terminal where the boat lands and where the container is unloaded, that has a terminal operating system. We have 12 terminals in LA and Long Beach. We have 11 separate operating systems. Those operating systems, you'd love it if that operating system could communicate with the trucking company that's coming to pick up the container. Can't do it. How about the warehouse? You're shipping out a container. Wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like the warehouse to know, hey, we're sending you a container. You better get ready to receive it. Doesn't exist. Okay, so this is a highly fragmented system. So actually, we're selling all of our, what I would think of as functional logistics. We own 6 trucking companies. We own port container distribution. We own lots of things like that. We're selling all of that. We're redeploying it because technology has now gotten to a point, particularly with artificial intelligence, where it is going to be a sea change. The union gets it. They understand that technology is going to be hugely disruptive. And who is it going to be disruptive to? Labor. We can run a port today with existing technology without any people.
Wow.
Think about
how is well, I am thinking about it. How is that possible?
Yeah. So the technology exists today that you can sail a ship from Asia to the US without any people. That technology exists. Now, that hasn't been deployed yet, but it exists. You can land that ship at a terminal on a dock autonomously. You can unload that ship, unload its containers. And keep in mind, you're talking about 20,000 containers. These are big ships. You can do that autonomously. There are automated ports today. Even in LA, we have a couple of automated terminals, but the union gets it. You go from an automated terminal has about 50 people. A non-automated terminal has about 500. So the union says, well, we're getting screwed here. We better make hay while the sun shines, because they understand that this is very disruptive. Now, I find this interesting for a whole bunch of reasons, not least of which is this is the dawn of a new age. And we've all been talking about it, about AI and the implications of AI and the implications of autonomous vehicles and all that stuff. Okay, here it is. What are we going to do? Now, tell me when in history somebody's been able to hold back technology. Can you slow it down? Can you keep your job a little longer? Sure, that happens. It was, think about containerization, right? Containerization changed the world. The first container was invented in 1956 by a guy named Malcolm McLean. He invented the container.
Now, the container, again, is that thing, like those big Maersk things that we've seen.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. A container is a big metal box.
Okay.
Very, very cool idea. Changed the world. Why did it change the world? Because it reduced your transportation costs by 80%. 80%. Right? Because what used to happen before a container? You'd take a truck, you drive the truck up on the dock, you dump out a bunch of stuff on the dock. 10% of it would get stolen. The other part would get stuffed into the hull of a ship, right? That's hugely inefficient, hugely labor intensive. So the invention of the container was 1956. The first container ship wasn't built until 1963, right? So it takes a long time for these ideas.
Well, how much of that, this is a little history that you may or may not be significant, but how much of that was labor pushing back? I mean, in other words,
huge.
Yeah, right. That's what I would think.
So listen to this. You'll love this. What was the compromise with labor? How did they get labor to finally go along? Now, labor fought this like crazy, right? But how did they get them to finally go along? They said to labor, hey, go home. Go home. You're 40 years old. We will pay you through retirement 100% of your salary and your full benefits. Just go home. That's how they did it. Now, I don't know what the answer is.
Eerily, oddly, might that be instructive for this moment?
Of course. Yeah.
And so you're sort of implying some version of that is what they'll try to hatch to take care of.
It worked before. I know from my friends in the longshoremen, and look, these guys, they're hardworking guys, right? I mean, this is not simple work. And they have built these ports over, 100 years. So I sympathize with their angst over losing their jobs. But at least my friends at the longshoremen, they get it. Like, they're not telling their kids, hey, you should go be a longshoreman. That used to be the program. Like, your kid did it and your grandkid did it. And, you pass these jobs on because they were very, very good jobs. But they're not doing that today. And I think they're not doing that today in the same way that they did before, because they realize that it's a melting ice cube, the technology. Now, is that fair? Is it good? Is it socially the right thing to do? Who knows? I mean, every time, when the guy first invented a tractor, people complained that, oh, you're going to kill jobs because you got people with shovels, right? But I don't know. I cannot think of a time, and Mark, you know me. I study innovation. For my whole life, I've studied innovation, and there's not a single example where technology has been able to, where someone has been able to thwart technology. It eventually, the technology wins.
So there may be a moment here where they can stave off that technology or divert it or delay it in some way, but ultimately what you've described is the course that will be followed and the narrative that we'll see. Yeah.
Here's an interesting stat for you. This is not happening, by the way, in other ports in other countries. Places like Singapore, the ports in China, in Rotterdam, places like that, they're automating. They're not dealing with the unions. They're not dealing with labor issues. They're saying this is far more efficient, and there's no question that the technology is more efficient. So they're not messing around. In the US, we have a very different political dynamic. And I fault the elected officials because they don't have the balls to step up and take the heat. And it's a lot of heat. There's no question it's a lot.
So what does that mean, the heat? What is it? Is it threats to family, or is it threats? No. Okay, so threat. I'm just giving you the spectrum. Yeah. Or is it political money and loss of political power? What are the threats?
Well, it's I don't think it's so much money, but the union, as you've seen, can slow down the port. Right? They can do it if they want to do it. That causes
that's what's happening now. Yeah,
that's exactly, and that causes a headline, and that headline, when you've got 100 ships offshore and you got helicopters and ABC News flying over and showing all these ships, so the mayor looks like a bonehead.
I see.
Right, so they're freaked out. The governor didn't want that. He didn't want those headlines. So that's part of it. Part of it is, I think the unions generally, I think this is generally true in today's world. I think the unions have in my opinion, they have a disproportionate voice. But if you're a union person, I guess you'd say they don't have enough of a voice. There's certainly a role for unions.
But it's interesting. Thank you though for putting some specifics on it. There's such a political imperative to stop the bleeding that you're ready to do whatever to take care of that port situation. And that is a little bit of what we're dealing with now. Even though you may know that it's inevitable that this technology is going to take over, you have to somehow take care of this the stoppage at the ports.
But there's a price, Mark. There's a huge price that you're paying. 42% of all imports in the U.S. come through the port of LA or Long Beach. So when you slow things down, that manufacturer that's waiting for a part in Chicago, he sends everybody home, right? He doesn't have that widget that he needs to build the car or do whatever he's going to do. Now, here's an interesting stat for you. The World Bank, fairly reputable, the World Bank does a study of port efficiency. I think they rate 351 ports globally, all through Africa, Asia, Europe. They rate the ports on efficiency. Mm-hmm. This year, this is going to blow your mind. This year, the Port of LA and Long Beach, where did they rank? 351. Where do you think they rank?
Oh, toward the bottom, apparently. I mean, with that ramp up, right?
350 and 351.
Wow. That's shocking.
Shocking.
It's shocking because we always think of ourselves, it's the myth of American exceptionalism.
By the way, we invented the technology. The technology that solves this problem was invented here, right? I mean, this is an area of science that I love, and you and I have talked about it a bit. Look, it's called location intelligence, right? This
is a great bit. Just to explain in our last minute or so how, because this is crazy. You can locate your your bag that's checked on a United flight, you can locate that bag, but somehow we don't have the same technology in place for these shipping containers.
It's like, in the logistics business, in supply chain, and I've done all kinds of logistics, airlines and all kinds of stuff, but in supply chain, the first question you ask is pretty simple. Where's my shit? That's what you're asking. Where's my stuff? The truth is, we can't tell you today. There are 30 million containers in the world, metal boxes, 30 million containers. How many of those 30 million containers do you think are connected to the internet, that actually have some connectivity and aren't just a dumb box? Zero. Virtually zero. Now that's going to all change because those boxes are going to be connected. We're working very closely with Cisco and with Intel, and we have a company here called Esri out in Riverside. This technology is available, and it was invented here in the U.S., but is not being deployed here in the U.S. And that's because there's no political will.
You can throw an air tag into each one of them, and you've got.
I get it. I get it.
It's crazy.
And what people don't really understand is the least interesting question in logistics is, where's my stuff? Because when you ask the question, where's my stuff? It's too late. You're only asking the question because it's not where I need it. Right? So what you really want to ask is, why? Why isn't it where I need it to be when it needs to be there? So that's what we think of as predictive analytics. We want to know a week, 2 weeks in advance, whether something is going to, whether my supply chain is going to be disrupted. And that's really what we're focused on. We're focused on the information technology that is available today, that can be deployed, not just in supply chain, but in anything that moves.
That's a huge savings potentially, but you can see
think about the environmental impacts, Mark.
Sure.
Environmental impacts are huge.
I love that you put some specifics on this overall problem, and you can see where the shoe pinches for labor, and this will be. So in our last 45 seconds, can you forecast what's going to happen at these ports, these West Coast ports? By the way, they've talked about now rerouting ships so that they don't even deal with the West Coast ports of the United States anymore.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a long time. We've lost about 20% market share on the West Coast. So, they get rerouted to places like Houston. But look, LA ports are not going to go away. Long Beach is not going to go away. We have huge infrastructure here. We have 1.8 billion square feet of warehouse in Southern California. We're the #1 manufacturing center in the U.S. Because of the port. 1 out of 9 jobs in Southern California is related to the port. So they're not going to go away. The longshoremen do have enormous amounts of power, and there will be a resolution. I suspect the resolution will be a little bit along the lines that we talked about, which is, maybe, so it's
a slow process. It sounds like.
Yeah. How it gets resolved, I don't know, but it will get resolved ultimately. If not. Willingly, the feds will come in and have some sort of resolution. But it's unfortunate that this has to happen all the time.
Sure. And it's being asked now in the chat, and so I'll invite you back if you'll indulge us with another visit. What about the U.S. government? Has Mr. Rosenthal given his perspective to the U.S. government? The answer is yes, but I don't have time to get into further details. But will you come back?
Well, you don't want to see my head explode.
Yeah, when Mr. Rosenthal went to Washington, that is a great story for your for your next visit. Jonathan Rosenthal, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I look forward to your next visit. See you, John. Bye bye.
The Mark Thompson Show. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Everything is going extremely well.
I offer this sincere apology to you today.
My bad. I'm sorry.
I prefer the Walmart parking lots. I'd come from regular stock.
Proceed
you.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Yeah. What up, everybody? Thank you for being with us on Kim's birthday. How about it one more time for Kim's birthday? I know. Kim, how are you?
Hey.
Kim, what is the story with you today? You have anything planned at all? You kind of are making it sound like you don't want a big deal made of it.
No, well, tomorrow's the big 8th grade graduation, so I have a lot to do. I'm kind of focusing on that.
I see.
Kim, how are you?
So that's okay. When you get older, your birthday becomes less important. It's all right.
I see. Well, I haven't reached that age yet, but I hope that I do reach it. I hope I get to that point when everything just is yes.
Can I say that guest was incredibly interesting? I didn't realize I was so interested in the history of transportation and how we have developed over the centuries and decades, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, really, really great. And he'll be back, and he's got a story about going to Washington that you will love. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep, this shipping container delivery on time, so that's why I didn't get into it right now, but he will be back. He's a delightful guy, and so you can tell, a big-brained dude.
When he was talking about how they just paid people to sit home, I thought, well, that kind of works because it's one generation of workers that you take care of, and then you don't have to deal with the problem anymore.
Yeah,
Those
you're
jobs
buying them out.
gone.
You're buying out a
them
generation. That's
Done.
right.
I mean, if they looked at through the, to the long haul, they still would have been upset about it and maybe not taken the deal. But I mean, it seems like a brilliant solution, really.
Right. And I think he mentioned it specifically as a potential course in this situation, that they may do a version of that. That's what I was asking him about. So, really interesting stuff. Smash the like button like a boss. Smash it for
Smash it with your iron rod.
For our guest. And we have Kim's news. There was a notable passing, which I will share with you in the next hour. I'll also share two things. One is someone who's being called the Trump Slayer. He's on the ticket right now. He wants to be president. I'll tell you more about that. And I think you'll agree, at least with the thinking on it. If you're into politics, this will kind of feed that beast a little bit. And while we're on politics, the Bobes, Lauren Boebert, caught in a lie. I mean, really caught in a lie.
Is anyone surprised?
Yeah, more than the normal lies, the, liar, liar, pants on fire.
My.
Yeah, that sort of lie.
Liar,
Your pants
are on fire!
Yeah. All right, Mark Thompson Show.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Who's Mark Thompson?
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and this report is sponsored by the fabulous people at Tenuta Vineyards in Livermore.
Tenuta Vineyards.
Which I think, you know what I'm going to do? My birthday plan has just developed tonight. For the birthday eve, I'll be cracking open a Why Are You Yelling Red and enjoying a bit of it. Tomorrow, when you see the wine bottles in the office,
why are you yelling?
One of them will be corkless. That's right.
It's fantastic.
I love it. Love it.
Let's start with California Governor Gavin Newsom, because as Mark was mentioning earlier, Gav has some things to say to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and he actually appears to be threatening DeSantis with kidnapping charges. It stems from South American migrants being sent to Sacramento, allegedly by the state of Florida. Governor Newsom says his administration is working to see who paid for this cross-country plane trip and if any laws were broken, including kidnapping. That would be a trial. Pharmaceutical giant Merck is suing the federal government over Medicare drug prices. Merck filed the suit this morning over a new law giving Medicare the power to negotiate drug prices directly with pharmaceutical companies. Merck claims the law is unconstitutional because it would force the company to provide medication at government-set prices. Yes, they want more money than that. Yeah. The Oakland A's moved.
You get to be
Las
fair.
Vegas.
You got to feel for Big Pharma. They got a tough go. They just haven't gotten any breaks lately.
Yeah, I'm not going to cry. The Oakland A's move to Las Vegas, aka Lost Wages, is hitting a major stumbling block. Monday, Nevada lawmakers refused to move on a measure that would bring the A's to Sin City through public financing of up to $380 million. Then, this morning, Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo tweeted he is considering calling a special session to help push this bill to the finish line. So maybe not such a done deal after all for the Vegas A's.
Boy, the poor A's, they cannot, right? Oakland strings them along forever with the stadium. Then they just said, okay, we've had enough of this. I mean, literally went on for years. And then they go to Vegas, everything, they got all these promises, going to be great, Major League Stadium, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, whoa, you know what? I mean, really, they are like, what is the phrase? Always the, never the bride. Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the A's. Man.
Yeah, they don't get the bouquet, ever. Nope. Bottle Rock. This is really lovely. A Napa nonprofit says the Bottle Rock Napa Valley vendors donated thousands of pounds of food to local organizations. Vendors at the 3-day Memorial Day Music Festival gathered all the food that went unsold to festival goers, Feeding It Forward, the name of the group, then helped distribute the food to several organizations. In all, 13,509 pounds of food and drink were gathered up to be donated. And this is fancy food at Bottle Rock, too. Some of the benefiting organizations included Up Valley Family Centers, Adobe Services, and Napa Valley Community Housing. So what
that's
a great
really
thing
great.
to do.
Yeah, really cool.
There is a new push to teach California students how to spot fake news on social media. This is a class that we all need, right?
Yeah.
An assemblyman wants to make it mandatory for kindergarten through 12th grade. His bill would require schools to include media literacy by 2025, becoming the 4th state in the nation to do so. Can't believe we're falling behind on that. The goal is also to help students resist cyberbullying and hate speech. The bill already passed one hurdle, and it is now before a Senate committee. We know media changes. The way we gather information changes. So we have to teach people how to arm themselves to be ready to evaluate it. Beware, be very aware when you are visiting the ocean this summer. Why? Well, it turns out young white sharks are coming closer to swimmers and surfers without them even knowing. If you're swimming in the ocean, surfing, paddleboarding, whatever, chances are pretty good that you were very close to a shark and had no idea. This is what researchers found when they used drones to monitor 26 Southern California beaches for 2 years. Right now, the hot spots are said to be Carpinteria in Santa Barbara County and Del Mar in San Diego County, where at least 20 interactions a day were documented. And again, most people had zero clue that they were swimming right next to Jaws.
Well, that's exactly the clue I want. Zero. I want no clue that I'm doing, because it's only going to panic me. But I remind you that sharks are among the most endangered. There's certain kinds of sharks that are completely, have been literally rendered extinct as a result of human interaction. They cut those fins for shark fin soup. And then they throw them back in the water. It's pretty grotesque what we do. And so I consider sharks, the oppressed species between humans. That doesn't mean that I'm, not rooting for humans to get away. But most of these interactions don't end in any kind of, as you've suggested, violent exchange.
No,
most are not. Most, as you say, are not. They're not even aware that they're next to a shark or near a shark.
They're not aware they're next to or near a shark. And really, sharks don't consider humans food. They don't like the taste of us. Researchers can't quite figure out why we're not hunted by them. And so the only thing they can think of is that we don't taste good. So they don't really want us. I guess. I don't know. I wish that
Let
was
it
the
always
case
be so.
with mosquitoes, but that is not the case with mosquitoes.
No, mosquitoes think that we taste very well. Very good. Very delicious.
So lastly, I don't know if
Nutritious.
you're a fan of Ye Cheez-It, but there is there is a new
Not many news
cheesiest-
stories start with that little ramp up.
No.
Yeah.
It's a special Mark Thompson show
Thank you.
that we do.
I don't know if you're a fan of. Good evening. I don't know how many fans of We Cheez-It are. Is it called We Cheez-It?
No, I said it's called Cheez-Its, but I said
Cheez-It.
if you're a fan of Ye Cheez-It, I don't know why I said Ye Cheez-It.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like it. I like that you call it
thank
Ye
you.
Cheez-It. Where
I
is
kinda
that
tried to
Cheez-It stuff?
roil it up a little bit. Okay, so this is the story. The biggest,
All right.
cheesiest roadside attraction in California, Cheez-It, has taken over a Joshua Tree gas station and souvenir shop along 29 Palms Highway. Those
Wow.
who visit the rest stop through Sunday can use the world's first and only Cheez-It pump and designed to pump Cheez-It bags into a vehicle.
We've never seen anything like it before.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares
to this.
to this.
There's
Yes.
other merchandise and visuals of the famous crackers, including a giant Cheez-It box, but they have taken over this gas station and turned it into a Cheez-It station.
It looks so cool. I have to go there, and I don't even eat cheese.
And so when you get there, it's like Cheez-It overload. Hey, if you were a fan of Ye Cheez-It, you would go. Look at that.
Oh, I love it. This is really great.
There's never been anything like this.
Yes.
It's a photo op and a half is what that is. Yeah.
I agree. I can't wait to. So it's only this weekend, though. They've taken over the
Only
gas
this
station.
weekend, the Cheez-It
Okay.
stop. Gotta
Yeah,
go.
pump cheese. John Slade is asking. That is a weird phrase.
They must have a hose where I see that giant cowboy. Here's my guess. I think the hose is connected to some type of gadget that shoots little bags of Cheez-Its through your open car window. That's my hope. My greatest hope is that was.
Well, that is.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Tenuta Vineyards sponsoring this very fine newscast here on the Mark Thompson Show. We thank them. And again, that Why Are You Yelling Red is going to be opened tonight. But let me tell you a little bit about Tenuta Vineyards because they do team building efforts at the winery. They do. They call it Be a Winemaker for a Day, and you can compete in groups with your people from work. Everybody goes home with a bottle of the winning blend.
Oh, that's
a fun
cool.
thing
So
to
that's
do.
one of the those team building things are cool. Usually it's games or board games or playing Pictionary or whatever it is.
In
or
the Bay
charades.
Area, we do a Be a Winemaker for the Day. Okay, this
I
is
love
fancy.
it.
Fancy team
Absolutely
building.
love it. Great idea.
Yeah, it's good. They have 28 varietals on their tasting room menu, 14 reds, 14 whites, and you do qualify just for being a member of the Mark Thompson community for the big discount. It's a 10%er. That's right, a 10% discount at Tenuta Winery because we get 10% off. All you have to do is call them and say,
Smashed it with your iron rod.
right on.
Smash,
You get your
smash it with your iron rod. That's
get
the
your 10% off.
That's the phrase that pays, everybody. That's
the
I used to do that. The phrase that pays. You got to know the phrase that pays.
Be the 10th caller with the phrase that pays.
Yeah.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
That's just 10% off of everything. It's not just
Everything.
the Mark Thompson wines.
Across the board, 925-699-4576 at Tenuta, Tenuta Vineyards, and our huge thanks to them for being a friend of the show. I'm Kim
They're great friends
McAllister.
of the show. They started as listeners. Now they're sponsoring Kim's News. Love that.
Well, you know what they say. Their motto is, give us 30 minutes, we'll be friends for life. And I think that's true. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Yes, I'm very unhappy with everything I've heard today on your show.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
Girl, you just woo.
Supposing you brought the light inside the body.
Can you let him finish, sir? I've received a lot of positive letters.
What's a guilty pleasure you have?
Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken.
Mark just disconnected himself.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, he's
I
gone.
thought, what? The music's over? Oh, here he comes back into town. That was interesting. Well, it is.
You
my
know what
birthday, so
happened,
this is where
Tony,
take
and I
over the show.
blame Tony for
Did you hit
this.
the space bar?
I guess, but dude, it shouldn't be the kind of thing where if you hit the space bar,
Whoever is producing this
it
thing
throws the
has
whole
no idea what
goddamn
they're
show
doing.
off. It shouldn't be that way.
I know. Well, the space bar is the last action.
What the F, dude? Change it.
I can't.
I'm so sick of this thing where I can't
Gotta
do
be
anything and nothing
smarter
works.
than the computer. Gotta be smarter.
God almighty.
You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
I don't know why.
Why are you yelling?
I thought perhaps you were just giving me the show because it was my birthday.
Well, you know what? I'd love to do that now, especially. I really am.
What he's got going here is a situation.
I blame this setup. I don't understand it. I don't know. It's just like
Mark. Oh, go. Sorry. Go on.
Can you? Yeah, like if I turn the wrong way, you threw the whole. You threw the Earth off its axis. Really? I can throw the Earth off its axis so easily? Yeah. Well, you know. If you just move like this, it goes to the last thing, and the last thing was the Earth being thrown off its axis. Wow.
It was like TVs back in the day with the antenna ears, right? You know, don't move. We got a channel.
Exactly.
Thanks, Tony.
Yes. I don't know. Trevor in Concord will take me out of my. There's the Cheez-It. Thank you for this.
Look at
And
that.
here's this.
It
Oh,
just
no,
bags
and
are
it-
flying.
Tony, did you find that?
Yeah.
You are the
that's
best.
cool.
Tony,
Give me a
everybody.
second.
Come on.
Wait. Give me a second. Hold on.
Thanks, Tony.
I found this one too. Actual video of it.
Wow.
So give it a second, you'll see. There it is. There's the Cheez-It gun.
Wow.
Oh,
That's crazy.
Yeah. Cheez-It stop. Mm-hmm.
That is just wild. I love it. Well, you know, it's this weekend in 29 Palms. That's in the Southern California desert, right? And to pull me out of my funk, thank you, Trevor. Trevor in Concord, happy birthday, Kim.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank
Yeah,
you.
happy birthday, Kim.
How are you?
You finally hit the big 3-0, Kim. Just remember, in life, sometimes you don't get the rod. You get the shaft. Wow.
Kim, how are you?
Man, that's a...
Ain't that the truth, Trevor?
Yeah, you won't see
Ain't
that on
that
a lot
the
of
truth?
birthday cards.
That's
Most birthday cards are full of, you know.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
Yeah, Kim, it's so special. You've done so much. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Trevor.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Trevor. And again,
I love it.
Trevor's a regular supporter. Trevor will send me drops. Like he'll take stuff from the show
Yeah.
or stuff that he's found, and he'll offer them up as drops. And some of them are really good, actually. And it's just because these machines are frozen in time because Tony hasn't had a chance to make them work, that I haven't been able to integrate more of them. I blame Tony, even as I just a moment ago was thanking Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I blame him.
It's
tough when it's his 1,500th job. You know, you get sort of that feeling like, happy birthday, Kim. Tom Malloy with something for Kim's birthday. Big shout out, Tom. And thank you for the super sticker for Kim's birthday. Who knew? I wish I'd known this. I could have exploited Kim's birthday for more contributions.
Yeah, it's true.
Harry Magnan for 20. Happy birthday, Kim.
Big shout out.
Big shout out, Harry. Thank you so much.
Thanks, you guys. It's really kind.
And Lori above the bar.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Kim. Love Lori. Mark Pia and Chaco, the cats above the bar. Come on for the cats.
Love that.
I love the cats.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not going to try, but just the mention of the cats and the birthday. It's almost too much emotion, ladies and gentlemen.
Big shout out.
Beth Farmer for $10 for Kim's birthday, and thank you so much.
Thank you so
Guys,
much.
Thank you so
I'm
much,
feeling
all
the
of you
love. I really
who've
feel the
answered
love.
the call. And Sharon Kidd, we haven't heard from her in a while. Sharon Kidd for a 20. How about big shout out to Sharon?
Big shout out.
And happy birthday, Kim. Hugs to you from Sharon Kidd. She is a regular supporter, huge supporter. And Jim Slayton is as well. Happy birthday, Kim, says Jim Slayton. And thank you for a 10 spot, Kim.
So nice.
It really
Thank
is.
you. Yeah.
It's just terrific. I'm hoping that you have another birthday tomorrow so that we can exploit it for more contribution.
What?
Because I am now realizing that just by talking about your birthday, we can keep this show afloat, which is really
and Gail's
quite nice.
birthday, Gail too. So
yes,
yeah.
And Gail, that's right. Gail was the first out of the chute,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how I found out about Kim's birthday, through Gail.
Yeah.
So kind of wild. Thank you, all of you who super sticker us, super chat us. We'll include everything that you send us in super chat. We are crowdfunded, so it does, well, it helps keep us alive. I don't know if you remember the Saudi-backed golf crew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was very controversial, you know. They essentially took all of the big names from golf, or many of the big names from golf, because the Saudis have all this money, right? Well, leaders of the PGA Tour, they actually, I believe, banned certain people who went to this LIV golf, that's the Saudi golf tournament. But meanwhile, it was like they didn't really care. They were making so much money. I mean, sick money in this other tour, the Saudi tour. Well, now these two competing tours sat down and they've made a deal. They spent years locked in a fight over the future of golf. And today, they've announced a shocking merger. In fact, there's litigation going on right now, and they're saying we'll stop all litigation and we'll actually bring together the PGA Tour and Saudi Arabia's LIV golf. So this puts together a lot of stuff because they're commercial businesses. There it is, the headline. The agreement encompasses the World Tour, known as the European Tour. The new group's name is going to be announced at a later date. The quote from the PGA Tour commissioner is, after 2 years of disruption and distraction, this is a historic day for the game we all know and love. Wow, when they put their hostilities aside, they really put them aside.
Wait, yeah, can we put a pin in this for 2 seconds? I thought it was if you play for the LIV Tour, that means you're condoning the mistreatment of women and children and the brutality. And these are people who are brutal. Like, why would you ever, you're taking money over humanity,
That's so, Kim is so right with that. They grabbed all the virtue signaling they could with all of that.
And it's okay because they're giving us money.
Yeah. Remember, they took Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, Sergio Garcia, Bubba Watson, Brooks Koepka, and now they're all together. LIV's chief executive is Greg Norman, the longtime champ. And they're looking at 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028 to be the new reconstituted golf tour with LIV and the PGA Tour coming together. But Kim's not the only one. You wonder how many people are even running this organization in Saudi Arabia, with Saudi Arabia, right? You have high-profile golfers who seem to have an oversized place at the table. I don't really know, but that's the deal on that. I just thought it was kind of weird. And I mentioned to you that there was a high-profile passing, and I think you're going to know this person.
The Mark Thompson Show.
The person who made famous Girl from Ipanema. You know that song? I would play it for you, but right. I can't.
Yeah, we don't need that today.
Yeah, that we'll get struck.
Get us to strike.
Yeah. The person who was the singer, Astrud Gilberto, one of the most recorded songs in history, Girl from Ipanema. Astrud Gilberto, there it is. She popularized bossa nova around the world. She passes away at 83, married to famed Brazilian musician and singer João Gilberto. Maybe you guys know the way these are. And during a recording session for an album with Stan Getz, a publisher had the idea to add some English language vocals to this tune, Girl from Ipanema. Originally, it was composed by Antonio Carlos Jobim with Portuguese lyrics. She wasn't credited and reportedly only made $120 for the session.
Oh, that's awful.
Gilberto followed up her vocal debut with an illustration and a cover that's quite well-known. And with others, including Quincy Jones and Chet Baker, involved in that. And the Latin recording economy honored her with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Well, I'm sure that makes up for the fact that she only got $120 for it. It's quite extraordinary that so famous a vocalist could get so little. But again, it's not extraordinary, I guess, in the world of music. The granddaughter, Sofia Gilberto, said on social media, I come to share the sad news that my grandmother, who became a star, is now next to my grandfather, João Gilberto. Astrud was truly the girl who brought Ipanema's bossa nova to the world. She was the pioneer and the best, she said. Rest in peace, my eternal muse, said João Gilberto. I see Brazilian-American musician Bebel Gilberto, whose father, João Gilberto, was briefly married to her. He said, rest in peace, my eternal muse. You may sing with birds and angels, beautiful Astrud. Very sweet. You can tell with the names, the Brazilian, it's all a little complicated, but there are some pictures of her. So this quite extraordinary woman, an extraordinary singer. I mean, I would suggest, she changed, as they say, and popularized bossa nova. She was certainly part of that. And that recording is ubiquitous, isn't it? I mean, that recording is just everywhere.
Yeah.
She
and her
passes
voice
away at
haunting.
83. Oh,
yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah. So beautiful. Well, the CEO of OpenAI has something to say.
The Mark Thompson Show.
And it's something from the OpenAI CEO, something that I suggested the other day when we had an expert in talking about AI. Maybe you recall it. We had a really cool conversation. I want to say it was Thursday of last week about artificial intelligence and the supposed risk that AI poses to humanity. The whole sci-fi narrative that the machine gets to be as smart as the humans programming the machine, and then it defeats those humans and destroys them. It is out of science fiction, and now it's come to life. Did everybody...
Will Smith in iRobot?
Like Will Smith in iRobot, like Hal in 2001, right?
I'm sorry, Dave.
Right.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Exactly. I think you know what the problem is just as well as...
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Yeah, the problem is you guys, and I'm getting rid of you all so that us computers can live in peace.
What's the movie where the computers take over video games and end up trying to launch nukes?
War Games, maybe?
Oh, is that War Games? Yeah, that was a good one.
It was so good. War Games.
Yeah. War Games.
Thanks, Tony.
I think
I mean, it's all fun and games until it actually happens, right?
Right, and I guess that's what I'm saying. I mean, we're closer to it actually happening than ever.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. I mean, you walk out of those movies and go, oh, thank God that can't really happen. You know what I mean? Like, it can. Yeah. And it is. And in fact, there was another movie called Ex Machina, which is a brilliant film about both robotics and AI. And I think Ex Machina is one of the best movies you'll ever see. So I recommend that. Ex Machina. Okay. But anyway, now the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, is on a global tour discussing artificial intelligence. And you'll remember, back to what I was getting at, when we had our expert in, I was saying it seems as though, you know, these pauses on development. He was saying, if you pause development in this country, that doesn't pause development for AI worldwide, and you just end up falling behind AI that's going on in development China and in the Middle East, et cetera. So I thought that was a really good point. So the idea that Elon Musk would call for a pause made no sense. But what I suggested at that time was some kind of, if we really see this as a nuclear level threat, nuclear weapon level threat, then why not bring countries worldwide to the table to negotiate a nuclear weapon worldwide threat type agreement to control AI development? That seems to make sense. Now, the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, is doing what? Suggesting just what I said the other day. Artificial intelligence poses an existential risk to humanity. And now, Sam Altman is suggesting an international agency like the International Atomic Energy Agency to oversee this technology. Quote, we face serious risk. We face existential risk. The challenge that the world has is how we're going to manage those risks and make sure we still get to enjoy those tremendous benefits. No one wants to destroy the world. OpenAI's ChatGPT, a popular chatbot, has grabbed the world's attention. It offers easy-like answers to prompts from users. Microsoft's invested, as you know, $1 billion in OpenAI. ChatGPT's success offers a glimpse into the way that artificial intelligence could change the way humans work and learn. But there are concerns that parallel all of that. And I think it's fascinating, and I think he's right. It's what I was saying the other day. You've got to put together the major parties, major countries, scientists, technologists, and you have to in some way treat AI in the same way you treat nuclear weaponry. Mitigating, this is the last quote for him, mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. So, there it is. And as I was saying, right on. That's exactly what should happen.
The Mark Thompson Show.
When we come back, I have a story about somebody being chased from office because they're too old. Sound familiar? It's not Joe Biden.
Was it Dianne Feinstein?
No. It's not Dianne Feinstein. In fact, it's somebody older than Joe Biden and Dianne Feinstein, and somebody who is still in a very powerful position. That, I still have to give you that Boebert update. She was caught in the lie. And also the Trump slayer. A little bit of that as well. Smash the like button like a boss.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up. Hurts no one. Costs nothing. Mark Thompson.
I've told you it's never easy being in this business.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and you know the field of 2024 GOP presidential candidates is now growing. Hey, Christie, former New Jersey governor, expected to formally launch his bid at a town hall event tonight in New Hampshire. Wednesday, former Vice President Mike Pence is expected to follow suit in Des Moines. So here they come. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is expected to travel to China in the coming weeks for some diplomatic talks. The discussions were postponed after the U.S. shot down a Chinese surveillance balloon off the east coast of America. The development comes after senior U.S. officials met with their Chinese counterparts this week as part of efforts to keep the lines of communication open between our two countries. Both sides blaming each other for an explosion at a Soviet-era dam in Russia-controlled now southern Ukraine. Let's take a look at a picture of this dam. There you can see the breach. The blast caused a breach in the structure that flooded the region on Monday, prompting evacuations. This huge reservoir supplies water to the Russian-controlled Crimean Peninsula and Europe's largest nuclear power plant as well. So this is not good. There is a
no bueno.
No bueno. This is no bueno. No bueno.
No.
Both looks like a federal judge is allowing the names of those who posted the bond for New York Congressman George Santos in his criminal fraud case to be made public. For a few days now, the media was trying to find out who paid his bail. Well, now we're going to be able to know. The judge gave Santos until noon on Friday to appeal the ruling. Media outlets and the House Ethics Committee had requested the release. Santos is charged with wire fraud, money laundering, theft of public funds, and lying to Congress.
Yeah, that's the that's the big three.
It's quite the list. Yeah.
Congratulations.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Right.
It's not easy to commit all those crimes allegedly at once. But
he makes it look easy, which is
he
nice.
really does. In San Francisco, 2 of the biggest hotels reassuring guests that they will be staying open. This after the owner of Hilton Union Square and Park 55 revealed he is going to stop making payments on a loan for both properties and walk away. The chairman and the CEO of Park Hotels and Resorts says the city's path to recovery remains clouded and elongated by major challenges. He cites street conditions, office vacancies, and a lack of conventions. But it looks like the hotels are saying, hey, well, no, don't not book here because we're going to stay open. It's going to be okay. Meanwhile, the guy who leads the whole company is like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sayonara, sucker. Is that what they're
Sayonara, sucker.
Yeah, right.
Totally applicable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good day, sir.
Right.
And
by the way, that's an emerging story, and I was going to actually do it today, but we had so much other stuff. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. The number of major buildings in San Francisco, and this is not unique to San Francisco. Commercial real estate is in a huge crisis right now, and the number of major buildings in San Francisco. And as I say, this is a contagion. I mean, it'll be in Oakland and San Jose, certainly, that will go vacant. And as a result, those are landlords who are going to get stuck. And that's what's happening here in that story, right, Kim? They're basically saying, hey, you know what? I'm not paying on this anymore. Not worth it.
Cut your losses. Going to stop paying and just check out.
And that is causing commercial real estate to cave. And we may touch on that tomorrow, but it's a major economic story when it comes to the San Francisco Bay Area.
Another major economic story. Well, I don't know how major, but there's a robot pizza startup called Zoom, and they're calling it quits. The business was founded in Mountain View in 2015. It later moved south to Camarillo in Southern California. The company raised $450 million in VC startup funds to develop.
That's a lot of pepperoni. What happened?
Well, they wanted to develop this pizza making robot.
Sure.
So the whole point of it was we got this food truck. We have a robot making the pizza, right? So the robot's going to make the pizza while we drive right to the address. So
that's
you
cool.
could order a pizza and have it at your porch within minutes.
What could possibly go wrong with that?
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
I love that. I would have thrown money at that. I'm so glad I didn't. What happened?
Every time they hit a bump, the cheese went everywhere. I'm not joking. It's true.
Oh, no. I hate to laugh. I'm sorry.
Cheese was really sliding around.
What?
So then they realized, okay, so we can't drive and cook at the same time. So then they had to find a place to park the vehicles. So then they parked the vehicles, but then they had to go then deliver the pizza. Well, then they had to hire delivery people to go. It just didn't work. The whole idea of driving while cooking, fail. It just didn't pan out the way they thought. And now they're selling all of their remaining assets, and all that venture capital money is going poof. That's it, done. This was in San Francisco. Pizza. They found it in Mountain View, but I think they were trying to make it work in the city. But it's what's called Zoom, Z-U-M-E, the pizza robot company. Done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I am
disappointed.
I'm disappointed, but when you actually explain to me what went wrong, I go, "Oh yeah, why didn't somebody think?" You know, Tony could have come up with a system by which, when they turned, it would be on a what do they call that, Tony?
You gotta put it on a gimbal.
A gimbal. That's exactly the word I was looking for. He would have. No, I mean it. I really was.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony would have it on a gimbal so that when you turned, it would not turn one way or the other. It would like stay centered, and Tony would have a thing. Now, the only problem with Tony's thing would be that, you know, if you turn a little one way and you hit it with your elbow, the pizza goes away. It would be the
space bar. That's all. Just don't hit the space bar and everything's fine.
Don't hit the space bar in the car and you would be fine. But no, I'm telling you, Tony, they should have brought Tony in on this. This is the stuff he's good at. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I feel they missed an opportunity, is what I'm saying. Anyway,
maybe they can do Zoom 2.0, but one thing you do have to love, and I've shown you the robot making the pizza, which was no bueno. But look at the ad, pretty cute, right?
Oh, that's just brilliant. I mean, tell me, now you see how they got all that money.
Yeah.
People went, "Oh my God, it's a great idea. I love it. It's cute. People are going to love it." Yeah, mounted on a gyroscope. Exactly. It's a gimbal, gyroscope, whatever. It's so, wow. Well,
work.
Back to the,
sayonara, sucker. That's it. The Mark Thompson Show is crowd-funded, and that means we rely on you to help us fund the show. You can do that by going to themarkthompsonshow.com, where you'll find the Patreon and the PayPal links. I'm Kim McAllister. This is The Mark Thompson Show.
No. You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Oh, my God.
What can you tell us about the scene?
Dr. Emil Schaffhausen, assistant.
I prefer the Walmart parking lots. I've come from regular stock.
Receive the royal scepter. Receive the rod of equity and mercy.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know, I'm excited. I mean, I just got a note. Not only are people celebrating Kim's birthday by giving us some contributions, which we appreciate because we're kind of working close to the edge, but I just got a note. I always get, you know, an advisory when anybody makes a PayPal or Patreon contribution. Yeah. Maybe you can put up the PayPal or Patreon thing. I hate to. Yesterday I didn't pitch at all. Today we're mentioning it a little bit more, but I just got somebody edited their pledge from $5 a month to $20 a month. Susie, I want to say thank you, Susie. I just got word.
Big shout out.
I'm going to send you a personal message as soon as we get done. But I appreciate that. I mean, it makes a big difference.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So,
nice.
Yeah, $20 a month helps us keep it. Honestly, it really helps us keep the lights on. So for $5 a week, you can help this show stay on the air. We're completely crowdfunded, and we do appreciate it. Appreciated it. We appreciated it, and we appreciate it. I'm checking, before I move on, I'm checking comments. I don't really have a chance to. Somebody asked me yesterday, I was having kind of doing an x-ray on the show and all the things you have to work on, blah, blah, blah. And they were saying, well, who watches the comments for you? Can you read the comments? I said, well, I can't while I'm doing the show. Yeah. I said, yeah, we kind of do it. They said, well, you should have a system. You know, somebody watching them from this time to this time and somebody from that time to that time. I think, okay, well, we're having trouble. Just kidding.
It's kind of what I've been starring them and I put them in.
Your Tony, I would say, is the squad leader on it. Like he'll put one up that relates to what we're talking about or whatever. But their point was in real time, if you get comments that you think you can integrate into the show, somebody should get it right away. So we need to, you can see we're still, I think, in the primordial ooze of our first year and trying to work out systems. And so in that spirit, I appreciate the fact that so many have contributed to keep us going, you know. I think we get some great stuff on this show. I'm really proud of our guests. I'm proud of our subject matter. I'm proud of the vibe. And so thank you, all of you who join us every day. I mean, again, just joining us and being part of things and subscribing and smashing the like button.
It's with your iron rod.
It all matters. I promised you a couple of stories, and now let me pay off.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Colleagues want a 95-year-old to retire. You have been guessing in the chat. Is it Chuck Grassley? Who is it? Older than Dianne Feinstein? Older than Joe Biden? They want this person out. It's a judge. She's 95 years old. And fellow judges have accused her of misconduct. They say she can no longer do her job, even if she's appointed for life.
Oh.
The country, and this is extraordinary, it's in Washington, D.C. The country's oldest active federal judge won't go. Her name is Pauline Newman.
Pauline.
It's been a 40-year career as a federal judge. She's written more than 300 dissenting opinions, and now so many believe that she, the 95-year-old federal judge, should retire. She is writing another dissenting opinion. No, I'm not gonna.
Is she like have dementia type of things? Are her opinions not making sense? What's wrong with her? Is she fine?
They're not giving her new cases. She has significant agenda items, and a lot of them relate to patents. She allegedly forgot a court rule in place for the past 5 years, referred to a long-dead chief judge in a judgment that she wrote. She's accused of mishandling a serious dispute between two of her staffers and threatening to have the complaining employee arrested. Staff described her as being in attack mode, wrote one. I believe Judge Newman is simply losing it mentally, wrote another. Newman called the allegations either false or grievously distorted. She called them disconcerting. And she says, it's bothersome that colleagues that I've known for many years as straightforward, decent people are coming after her. Two other active judges on the court are in their 80s. Most have served with Newman for at least a decade, as you might imagine. She denies that she ever had a heart attack, which is alleged, and she is not conferring with ghosts of past judges, she says, even though, as I've just mentioned, she cited them. There are worries about hacks and scams. She's older, and it's suggested she's succumbed to that. And she agrees. She says that is something that we should be constantly aware of. The judge is suing, and she's being represented by the conservative nonprofit New Civil Liberties Alliance, NCLA. They say it's unconstitutional to force a federal judge to share medical records, which have been demanded, or to undergo psychiatric testing, or even to take her off of cases. That's unconstitutional, they say. The nonprofit, it's this conservative nonprofit, is putting forward this legal challenge. And in that lawsuit, they argue that this is slowing down the process of judicial opinion. These are key patent cases, and it's also said that even the cases she's been part of, she's been so slow to offer opinions that it's slowing down the patent process.
Isn't that judicial misconduct? And if that's misconduct, then there should be a process for, getting people off the bench if they're not doing their job properly.
No, it's a point.
We have processes and protocols and standards.
Apparently they don't.
No.
As we know, we confer to these judges great power and also a great liberty in how they conduct themselves. So here she is, this Pauline Newman, and there's a lot of pressure, but the U.S. Constitution says federal judges serve, quote, during good behavior, generally understood to mean for life. Some academics are arguing that she can be taken off the bench for behaving badly, but that is an untested legal theory. Under a 1980 law, the active judges of a circuit court can agree to punish a judge after a formal investigation, but that punishment cannot be removal from office or even indefinite suspension.
God, at 95, can you even imagine wanting to go to work every day? I hope I'm sitting in a rocking chair drinking a mint julep and thinking about the fun days when I used to work. 95? Wow.
Yeah. The attorneys for her, Newman, argue that the Federal Circuit Committee has defied the law's process by taking her off cases. They say they shouldn't be able to do that.
They shouldn't.
And,
I mean, either she's a judge or she's not.
Well, I mean, if she's really checked out, then it may be more complicated than that.
Then there should be a way to get rid of her. Right?
We're seeing this play out, across the board, but she is clearly maybe the standard bearer for this bizarre fact that judges continue as long as they want to.
I love Debbie's comment. She says, yes, that's the problem. These standards were set back at a time when people had the good sense to drop dead much earlier.
Right. It's true. It's true. So she continues. This was something that was talked about during the Ruth Bader Ginsburg years, that she should retire, even though Ruth Bader Ginsburg was all there. The idea somehow was that you could make way for a younger, more vibrant judge that might have the same sense of the law as you have. But anyway, stay tuned. This is a legal case in addition to involving a judge. There is a lawsuit. She's 95 years old, and Pauline Newman, accused of misconduct. She says, I ain't going anywhere.
The Mark Thompson Show.
The Trump slayer I was mentioning to you is someone who was mentioned in Kim's newscast. The Trump slayer, anybody? Can you guess? The guy who it's thought is the junkyard dog kind of politician that, on a debate stage anyway, could dismantle Trump. It's the former governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie. Chris Christie is thought, as you know, and Kim made this part of her newscast through the day today, he's in the presidential race. But it's thought the two-term governor and former federal prosecutor is uniquely built to take on Donald Trump. A one-on-one debate between Mr. Trump and Mr. Christie, they say, would have more viewers than the Super Bowl. Trump may be able to call you a name, but Christie will take that name, twist it, and come back with 3 or 4 things that will leave Trump lying down waiting for the count. Any race that pits Christie against Trump is bound to be especially personal. Trump seemed to find joy in belittling Christie from the White House. And Christie,
didn't he fire him? He had him appointed in some position and let him go at some point?
Well,
didn't that happen?
Christie was head of his transition team.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then Jared Kushner fired Christie because Christie had gone after Jared Kushner's dad, prosecuted Jared Kushner's dad, and Kushner's view was, ain't no way you're going to be around here. And Kushner got Christie fired. Christie blamed Trump for giving him what? If you guessed COVID, give yourself points. I mean, Chris Christie, he's a big dude. He got COVID. He was gravely ill and hospitalized. It was by no means clear that he was going to have a resolution to that would be favorable. It's inevitable that we do this, but it's crazy that we're always thinking of him in terms, and we think of all of these different candidates in terms of the debate. The debate is the show. It's not really a debate over policy. You can't really get any policy positions clearly articulated. Policy and problems worldwide and domestically are nuanced. Even the immigration thing, which you'd think, well, the open borders, closed borders, open borders, that's the branding of it that makes it easy. But the reality of the immigration problem, the reality of the environmental issues that the country faces, the reality even of governmental ethics and of regulatory capture that's happened through the Supreme Court and through the various agencies that are charged with regulation, everything from Interior to EPA to the Commerce Department. These are all things that are nuanced. They're complicated. That's why I loved our guest from earlier. You actually got some of the complexities associated with the labor problem at the ports and with moving stuff from here to there. The debate stage has no nuance, right? It's all name calling and branding in one way or another. So, Christie, who is a smart guy and is a really good communicator, he may be built pretty well for that show. Trump is all about the show. I mean, Trump is great on the debate stage because that is Trump. He's an inch deep, but he's loud as hell. He knows nothing about anything, but he knows how to be a flamethrower. And so Christie could throw the flames back, is the thought. I just don't know, honestly, if Trump will debate. Why debate? You're ahead. Why get on the debate stage and have to answer why you had all those documents at Mar-a-Lago? There's Chris Christie enjoying things on a New Jersey beach.
Remember that time when there was a ban by Chris Christie of no one can go down to the beach except for him and his family? Yeah.
He's got all the hypocrisy of a normal politician. It's great. Well, anyway, they're looking at him as the great white hope. And he's getting greater and whiter by the day. I don't know. But if you're looking for a Trump slayer from the GOP, they say Chris Christie may be that guy. So.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I promised you Lauren Boebert news. She's being mocked after being busted by CNN for lying. As you know, Lauren Boebert was opposing raising the debt ceiling, okay? Yeah. So she was spotted rushing up the steps of the Capitol just as the vote on raising the debt ceiling was being closed. She missed the vote on this issue that she felt is so important. And a CNN producer was there on the stairs as she's running past them and turned and heard her say, "They closed it." "They closed it?" she asked. "Yeah," the producer said. Boebert paused, but then continued running up the steps of the Capitol. Then Boebert claimed that there was no such thing as the debt ceiling. Well, here's what happened. She first said that there was no such thing as a debt ceiling, and it was all fake news. Then she said tomorrow's bill is a bunch of fake news and fake talking points that will do nothing to rein in our out-of-control spending on the part of the feds. "No excuses," she said on June 3rd. "I was ticked off they wouldn't let me do my job, so I wouldn't take the vote." Once again. So she claimed after the fact that she wasn't late for the vote. She had no intention of actually ever being there for the vote.
Oh, okay.
Once again, Washington's power machine shoved a multi-trillion-dollar bill down our throats, refused to allow debate or amendments, disregarded everything we fought for. Then she claimed that, and of course there were a bunch of amendments. There were 81 proposed amendments. 14 of them were either co-sponsored or even introduced by Boebert. Okay, so she's just throwing stuff up to see what sticks. And she did show up for the vote. She was just late for the vote and missed it. A spokesperson responded by providing a link to Boebert's Thursday statement, which outlined her opposition to the bill, but did not substantiate her subsequent assertion that she had missed the vote on purpose. She missed the vote, plain and simple. And then after the fact, talks about the fact that she never supported the vote. Bobby is another one of the newly minted politicians who gets there on Smack Talk. And it's an amazing thing what happens in this country. But Smack Talk seems to be carrying the day in this modern world of politics. It's not about policy. It's about owning the other side. So just absolute lunacy. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Sadly, Kim's birthday has to end with I promised the Boebert story. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You talk about smack talk. It used to be back in the good old days.
Yeah.
You could smack talk, but you backed it up with being a person of substance, knowing your stuff, right? So as long as you came to the table prepared, you could smack talk, because when the real issues came up, you could tackle them. But now you have these politicians that are smack talk and no substance. There's nothing else there.
That's right.
It's like air. There's nothing else.
Well, the other thing, they've made it easier for them because they've given them talking points. The right offers these talking points. There have always been talking points, right and left, but it's easier on the right now. You just have to crank up the open borders, the Marxist, libs, socialist. I mean, these are the words that you just have to, pepper your Second Amendment. Sadly, it's become easier to win public office with that. And it's also become more difficult to withstand the horror of being a public servant, right? They dox you, they go after your family. It's so rancorous, it's so difficult, it's so toxic. It's become such a brew of badness that it favors those people who are just into it for the fun of building their brand and throwing fireballs. And so the Lauren Boeberts of the world, they flourish in that kind of environment. So the problem isn't the wacko politicians, it's the people who vote for them, says Karen Cooper. Yeah. Kim?
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I'm so blown away by the fact that it's your birthday. And you have,
Delette.
Delette. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Oh,
Two happies.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Kim.
Big shout out.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Delette.
Delette.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For the contribution. What was that, $20 or what was that?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Delette. I feel you and I
Kindness.
can celebrate Kim with our kindness. Yeah, Grady's so right. I'll just say I'm a terrible person, and I'm running for and still win.
Yeah.
So true. Well, I don't know what to say. Delette is a cool name. Delette may be the coolest name on our show today. You agree with that?
Yeah.
I think so.
There's so many people to thank. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Super sticker from Sandra Thomas. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jackie Walker, for $20. Thank you.
Nice.
On Kim's birthday, Jenny Tupper stepped up for $10.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Spencer Jeffy, big shout out, Spencer.
Big shout out.
Thank you so much, Kelly Malloy.
Big shout out.
Wow. These are all our regular Sally C. Happy birthday, Kim. There's a 10 spot.
Thank you.
Oh, that's really, really good. Vivian Elshawa, also a big supporter, for 20. Gary D for 20, sending our lunch money as we are recovering from COVID-19. No, San Diego, I wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kim is going over to Nikki's show next.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
We are back tomorrow.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
And the Rothman joins tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.